When we first came here, the local neighbors said that the only hippies that they had ever seen or heard of was Charles Manson. If you insist that I have a street address, I get to name it anything I want. I'm going to name it No Road, and that's my official address. Is 100 No Road. I'm totally vulnerable to the nightmare of ATV home invasion people coming or something like that. But we've got almost 30% of the people of Oregon to agree that you should be able to grow and possess as much marijuana as you want with no limit. I mean, every creature out here is trying to fight for his own space, and I'm one of them, And they whatever space I want, they want. So, but I'm okay with it. But I think they're out of control.
You can shake it, you can break it, you can hack it on the wall. You can pitch it out the window, run a cat before it falls. You can shake it, you can break it, you can hack it on the wall. Pitch it out the window, run a cat before it falls. My jelly, my roll, sweet mama, don't you let it fall. Well, I'm a rag. Well, I'm a rag. Well, I'm a rag. Well, I'm a...
I don't know exactly where this house was, but I think it was maybe here where this garden space used to be. I think it was, or maybe it was just over here. What happened, there was this big mudslide that came and it hit the house. So what they did was they built a new foundation over here, right? And they took out part of the house, so then they had a bunch of hippies get together and carry the house and move it all the way over there and put it on there. That's hippie construction for you.
There's really no role of government on the ranch. You can't legally build out here, so as a result, you can do anything you want. And I think that if there's any rule on the ranch, is what's not forbidden is allowed, essentially. But
well, next week or the week after that, we're gonna start building a deck on the top of Louis' roof, observation decks. We can start looking at the stars. That should be super cool. Got back to the piles, recycling, mixed the compost, built in the compost, put it in all the flower beds, in the gardens, fences, just basically everything needed to be done. So that's the last bit of the hike. We're going to my favorite view and favorite spot on the ranch. First land holder is over in this group of trees. You can't see any houses because that's the way people want it. They want to be close in the community, but still on their own. Basically, all this valley is all one large community, all the way up to the base of this mountain range over here. Mostly, all the year-round maintenance is right down near the house. All the making the vegetables and doing the crapper. All the fun stuff.
this pile here is a compost pile of my human manure from my composting shitter. It's amazingly like just compost and peat moss. It's a really amazing little process, although it's not my favorite job by any means. But here it is. This is the total part of that part of my life is in that one pile. These are the old ones that I told you about, the Arco ones. You can see they're a little yellower and stuff, but we just did a reconfiguration of these panels into a 24-volt system because now they had the technology actually to invert and move this electricity around in a lot different, better ways than they did when we first put this together. All this electric stuff uses electricity even when it's off. Same for the TV and everything. So when I'm not using it, I shut them off so that they're not just drawing down my system, because when you make your own electricity, you know how much you're using or losing.
In the wintertime, this kind of keeps it cool. So, but what happens is the raccoons come here, so I'm trying to put this door here so it can stay cool, yet no critters can get in there. Here's a cob oven. I did not build this, but the people who lived here before did. And it's pretty cool. Baked bread in it last night actually. And then once it turns into coals, you put the coals in the sides, and then you put your bread in the center. So those two batteries are running my house, but I only have like 2 lights, and they're like those bulbs that you can reduce power, have good light but with reduced power. Here's my candles, my backup electricity system.
I had a a backpacking tent that I had traded somebody some hash for, and that was what we lived in for the first 3 months that we were here. We had that in a Via stove. Have you ever seen those Via stoves? It's a little stove about the size of a coffee can, and you put white gas in it, and it sort of heats up itself. And just, and when we cooked and lived on that for 3 months or so before we actually got the teepee made and moved into the digs, as it were. It was made out of this stuff called greenhouse plastic that I bought in Oakland because we wanted to have something that would let light into the teepee rather than the canvas or the buffaloes or leather skins, which we obviously weren't going to have. And this was actually a little kite, or the remains of a kite that I made out of the material. It was really great, I mean, I wouldn't change that for anything,
I could have lived there forever. I mean, me and the landlord up there are tight. We're good friends, and I've done a lot of work to that place. I mean, and that was just a work trade simply because that house was really small. And boy, did I do a lot of work, and I didn't really have to do all that much work, This is a work trade too, like sort of like this other house I was living down there was like $50 a month because it was just a shack, In the wintertime, it's so cold, and there's all these air holes, but that was only temporary because I could only, I was only able to stay there for the winter. Now, like I said, I live in 6 different shacks, and it seems like I'll be staying here for a while.
And this is Louis' little guest cabin. It's on the back corner of his lot that I guess it's home away from home. I am the donkey. I bring in all the wood. So all the weight that needs to be moved around, they call me, and they get to do all the artwork.
So my place goes all the way across this draw to the top of that next hill over there. The little middle short one with the trees growing on it. The extent of this part of my place goes to the top of this hill, the farthest cluster of trees there. Top of that dark hill over there, and all of that you see there is part of my place. That was the last piece I bought. That was like a buffer piece between me and my next neighbor. I always knew that I wanted to have a sauna, so it's got enough for 2 adults to lay down. It's completely stretched out on the top level if you want. I love having the outdoor shower. It's when you sauna, you can, I don't know if it's hooked up yet. It's hot and cold.
I think this whole place used to be an actual ranch. That's why I used to call it a ranch. Some guy sold this property for dirt cheap in sections. All these idealist hippies back in the 70s wanted to come and live off the land. So, I mean, people used to walk around here naked. They were all idealists,
And as long as we've been here, there's been this malicious rumors about that hippie commune and stuff, because that's how these nasty little people are, and they just want to box you and stuff. Even to this day, it's that hippie commune up there, and it's been my mission on Earth to counteract that. Because for one thing, this is not a commune. It never has been and never will be. Anybody who's ever studied social engineering knows that communes do not work. It's only because it's a community of people just doing all their own thing without any kind of rule. It's anarchy at work, really, that's why this still exists.
But now I guess everyone got older. Everyone wants to live simpler, or like more comfortable. So they build bigger houses and they worked up electricity systems, When I first moved here, I wanted to stay in that ideal place, so I didn't really care so much for electricity or anything. And I even used to saw my wood, and that would just take so much of my time with all the work I have to do. So I finally got a chainsaw.
I love it. I love plugging my laptop in and watching movies on Netflix over my wireless connection. Yeah, that's awesome, man.